I'm Tony Higginson, and if you want to find me, I run a website, www.beyond-books.co.uk. You can buy exclusive signed and indeed dedicated copies of all of Joseph Delaney's books. He'll always happily sign them for you, and you'll get a bookmark, and if you buy several, I think a poster can be sent as well.
Certainly, yes.
So if you do want a book anytime, just find my website. We're both on Facebook. If you put Tony Higginson or Joseph Delaney, and you'll find us. I'm right in thinking you've got quite an active Instagram these days, Joe.
Yeah, there's a lot on it, at the moment. Yeah, we're putting up a video a week at the moment, short ones. I'm working through the books. There's one for the battle. I've done one on Grimalkin. I'm going to do a Halloween one, I think, as well. Yeah.
Well, that'll tie in a bit with this event on Tuesday, 27th of October. I think we should briefly let people know that event it's you in a Q&A conversation with another author that we're both friends with. Now, we know him as Philip Cavaney, don't we?
We do, yeah.
But has he not got a new book out under another name?
Yeah, he's Danny Weston, and there's his book.
The Witching Stone.
The Witching Stone, yeah.
So you're just about reading it now, aren't you?
I'm about to start, yeah. I'm about to start.
So that's published by UCLan, which is why they thought it would be nice to have two people who know each other, so you can chat, easily. Yeah. But you both are writing about the same thing in a way, aren't you?
We are.
The dark and mysterious past of Lancashire.
Yes.
So Danny's book appears to be about a witch who has been buried in a churchyard, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is that unusual?
No, I mean, some of the witches were buried head first down, so if they started to scratch their way to the surface, they'd be scratching their way to the centre of the earth. There were all sorts of little things went on like that. Yeah.
So, and were those little myths based on real events, do you think?
I don't know, I'm not sure.
But they make good stories.
They're all witch stones and witch graves, but I don't know about actually really being buried upside down. I don't know.
It's a great bit of
I'd have to dig one up to find out.
that might come in the future, mightn't it? Yeah. So after you'd finished Spook's Apprentice, it must have felt quite strange to think, I've got to be a new me now. Arena 13, a series of 3 came out, and am I right in thinking that these were actually quite old stories that you'd originally planned for adults?
Which one? The
Arena 13.
Yeah, Arena 13 actually was the book that got me an agent. That was the thing. Carolyn Whittaker, London Independent Books, and she liked that, and it never got published, but it got close. We got some good reviews, but rejections at the same time. So I took it out, and I've always wanted to get it published. So I worked on it, tweaked it, made it a little bit more suitable for teenagers, and it came out as Arena 13.
And there's 3 of them, and they're set in a sort of unnamed place and time. It's almost
it's not Lancashire.
It's not Lancashire, is it? But were you ever tempted to make it so it could be connected?
I think a lot of writers attempted to actually. Some do. You have a gigantic world, and all the stories and all the books relate to the same place. Well, I've done that in one more recent one. I've gone back to the county, but at the same time, I didn't want to do that really. So it's a different world.
And as your readers have obviously grown with you as a writer, when you came to rewrite and publish Arena 13, it's quite obvious that there's a lot more action and quite a lot of it's quite gruesome.
It is.
How did you find that transition from writing for what could be called 9-10-year-olds when you first started to 12, 13-year-olds?
I think the books were always a little older than that. I think my grandson read it when he was 8 and survived, but only a few nightmares. But I've always thought it was the Spooks books themselves were more like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and as you said earlier, adults read them as well, really. But yeah, it was a bit different. I definitely knew this one wasn't really for young children, this was for teens, because they fight in an arena, and they fight alongside what I call lax, but they're really androids. And you can die in the arena, that's the important thing. There's a creature called Ob, who lives in a citadel on a tall, high hill, and he comes down to the arena every year, and he challenges the combatants, and you can't win. They have to draw lots, and the loser always dies. And if they're only badly wounded, he drags them away and takes him up to his citadel, and they're never seen again. He's not human.
And the other thing I found great about Arena 13 was your use of a really strong female character.
Quinn, yes. Quinn's a girl who lives with her father, who's the number one, we call him a coder, a programmer, but I call him an artificer. And he trains boys to fight in the arena. And Quinn actually always takes the boy on a trip into the city after dark against her father's knowledge. And And she shows them the fighting and what goes on, and then she says, "You and me, fight now. We'll see who's the better of us." With sticks, because they can fight with sticks rather than blades, and she always wins, you know. And I won't tell you exactly what happens, or it'll spoil it, but there's one obnoxious boy who actually called Palm, who won't fight her at first. She goads him, and then he pays a severe price for his cheek.
But I mean, she's on a par with Alice as a brilliant female character, and I think that's one little thing to get over to the readers, or the would-be readers really, is there's always something for everyone in a good book, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of relationships, action from different viewpoints, how you deal with things. You know, as a writer, do you think you've got quicker as you've learned to be an author?
Do you mean quicker at writing?
Yes, quicker at writing.
Getting through the plot and everything. I'm not sure about that. It comes in fits and starts, because basically I don't plot in advance. I've no scheme worked out. I'm relying on intuition or inspiration. So I don't run into what I will call a writer's block, but it can slow down a little bit really. But I have devices to get around that. If it stops, I'll go and write a different part of the book. That's what happens really. And
talking of writer's block and how long it takes to write, you when you do talks, you'll often ask children questions and teachers, librarians, and quite often one of your all-time heroes, perhaps your favourite made me a writer person, sometimes they haven't heard of him. Chap who wrote a famous book about Dracula.
Oh yeah, Bram Stoker. Yeah, I like Bram Stoker because I like Dracula, but I like the way he wrote his method. It took him 7 years to write Dracula. And what he did, he went to Whitby to talk to fishermen, he went to libraries, he thought about it, he dreamed about it, no doubt, and he had a big wad of papers, shuffled them up in any order, and then he sat down to write it. And it was perhaps the actual writing process was relatively short, but in other words, he didn't know what he was doing, he didn't know where the book would end, and I'm like that, so I haven't got 7 years, but I've got to do it usually in 1 year, but I am drifting through. It's almost like reading. It's as if it's there, but I can't quite see the words properly. I'm finding my way through. I'm discovering the plot as I go along. That's the way I work.
Yeah, well, we've just got to hope that, you know, the inspiration that you gain from Bram Stoker is passed on to the people who read your books, and you might set the scene for someone to be writing something in the future. Be a nice legacy.
Well, what we do is, I think we are inspired by other writers, and for me it was like reading books that I really, really enjoyed, and I thought, oh, I wish I had written that, and that's what got me into writing.
So when you temporarily finished Arena 13, I think you've let me know that you would definitely be going back to that world.
Yes, because there are 3 books. It's not one story is completed. I won't say what because it spoils it for people. There is one completed narrative, but it's not over by a long way. You know, they are riding off to take back their world. It almost says that in the final line of the book, but we never find out if they succeed, so that remains to be written, definitely.
So you then moved on and obviously went back to where you feel, you know, I'm going to use the word happiest, Lancashire or the county. So you've written so far 2 books in a new series called Aberrations. Now this time you didn't create the county, you have set it in
I have
a
used
version.
Preston, I have used Lancaster as names,
Are you happier with that?
I think so, yeah. I think the truth is that I don't know why I did it. When I wrote The Spook's Apprentice, I changed some of the names. I have no idea why I did that at all. And looking back now, if I could start again, I will keep to it. I don't see why there's any need to change the names. I would have called it Preston. I would have called it Lancaster. I would have called it Blackpool rather than the Pool or the Black whatever. I would definitely kept with the names.
Yeah, and it's strange with Links with You Clan. This time last year, you were doing a big event for them actually on campus in one of the lecture halls.
That's true, yeah.
With an author friend of yours, a chap they publish, AJ Hartley.
Yeah, Colbath Street.
Andrew Hartley, Colbath Street, which if you've not read it, folks, I think you'd give it a big...
It is, yeah. It's one of my favourite books, especially one set, and it's set in Lancashire, set in Preston. Yeah.
So, you know, the idea of talking to another author through a connection's obviously quite a good idea, really.
It is.
A third Aberrations book?
There could be a third Aberrations, because again, that series isn't completed either, you know. Okay, you can read the first 2, and we do complete a narrative, there is a story and it's over, but you know it's not over. It's not finally over. There's more to be done. Yeah.
I mean, one other thing that I think recently, a short story you wrote, probably 10 years ago, Ghost Prison.
Oh yes. Yeah.
That's been slightly reworked in a short story collection called Haunted.
Yes.
Which is a story by you and one by about 10 or 12
Well, there are quite a
authors.
lot of people involved in that. Yeah.
Did you like writing a one-off short story?
Yeah, it was good. The truth is, to do a short story properly, it takes a lot longer than you think. It's not like 1/10 of a novel. It can take a long time, actually, to get it right. You play with it a lot to tweak it. So, but I enjoyed it, yeah, and I liked it. And then it got a book to itself, an illustrated book, Ghost Prison.
So maybe in the future, UCLan could do a collection of Lancashire ghost stories or something.
Yeah, I'd be happy to try and write
someone like yourself could then contribute to a book of theirs with new writers, maybe some of the students. You know, they've got AJ Hartley, they've got Danny Weston.
Yeah.
I think they've got a few other authors who are set in the area. John Mayhew, a friend of ours.
John Mayhew, yeah.
He's written 3 Gothic Victorian horrors.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a book out in January for UCLan. So I think they're building up a nice little stable of people that they've already had published. Or hopefully, if they could put the right projects together, you know, people like yourself might be able to come on board.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Could be good, couldn't it? So we're just going to take another pause, and then we're going to finally finish with a look at your brand new series, Brother Wolf.
Okay.